Hello everyone, this is Blade Brisky doing my week 4 screencast for ATM 101. It's going to be about my own personal weather observation from week 3 versus the NWS weather observation at that same time period. My location is 800 William C. Leary Lane, Fairbanks, Alaska. Now if we go here, we'll take a view of my weather observation location. It's going to be right off Farmers Loop, right here behind the station. If we take a further out look here, my location is just north of the main city of Fairbanks, over closer to the Fox area, off the Steese Highway and Farmers Loop. Now if we continue on to look at last week's weather observations versus NWS of the same time period, I started my weather observations on Sunday the 24th. Now if we look here, our max temperature started around 31.3 degrees Fahrenheit and 32.0 degrees Fahrenheit for both the left and right probe. Now if we go down, our minimums here are going to be about 18 degrees Fahrenheit, and for the observation period around there was about 20 degrees Fahrenheit, which I did around 11 a.m. that morning. Now you can see in the NWS weather observation, it was quite lower. Move on to Monday the 25th. Our temperature at my weather observation slightly decreased for the max. It's around 26 degrees Fahrenheit. And for the observation time, it was about 23 degrees, which was around 1:30 in the afternoon. I tried to stay pretty consistently through the observation to get an accurate reading. And if we look at the minimum for that day, it was around 16.8 degrees Fahrenheit. And again, once again, comparing to the NWS weather observation, I don't know what time they did it at, but it is considerably lower compared to my weather observation. Also having to do with the location, I am a little bit higher than where the NWS location is at the airport. So with that general elevation in my location, will allow for a greater temperature reading. Now if we move on to Wednesday the 26th, our max is going to be 22 degrees Fahrenheit with a minimum of 13.7 degrees Fahrenheit. And once again, I took that observation at 1:47 in the afternoon, which averaged out about 16.4 to 16.9 degrees Fahrenheit, which in this weather observation is pretty relatable to the NWS weather observation for that day. So it seems like the weather was pretty consistent throughout the area that day. Now if we move on to Wednesday the 27th, our max is going to be 17 degrees Fahrenheit with a minimum of 1.4 degrees Fahrenheit. Now our observation date of that was at 1:10 p.m. and it was pretty close to the max temperature of that day, 15.5 degrees Fahrenheit. And at the NWS location, the max there was relatively higher, around 24 to 25 degrees Fahrenheit, which is interesting to see. If we move on to our final day here on Thursday the 28th, we had, which was our lowest, max was going to be at 2.5 degrees Fahrenheit with a minimum of getting to the negatives at negative 5.1 degrees Fahrenheit. The weather observation for that day was at 12:34 p.m. with a consistent reading of 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit, which was relatively lower compared to the NWS of that day. Now if we move on to the barometric pressures for those days, once again we're starting from the Sunday the 24th to Thursday the 28th. On our first day here, our barometric reading is going to be 995 millibars, which seemed to be spot on with the NWS readings for that day. We move on to Monday the 25th, which is going to be 992 millibars. Pretty consistent with the overall reading from the NWS so far. We keep moving forward to Tuesday the 26th, which is going to be at 988.7 millibars. Keep on moving. We do have a slight decrease, which follows consistently with the NWS readings. On Wednesday, the 27th, it's going to be 971 millibars. And then continuing onto our final recording date of Thursday, the 28th, we posted a final reading of 978 millibars, which you can see with that increase in the millibars from that last decrease, it's following the NWS readings pretty consistently, which is good to see. Now if we move on to our weather observation from the NWS readings on Sunday, January 24th, you can see that there is some showers in that southern region of Alaska, right here, all around the lower coastal regions, which is pretty usual down there. And up here we do have some fog in the northern region of Alaska. You can see that the pressures are forcing upwards. There are some high pressures over here circulating in the eastern, southeast part of Alaska towards the Canadian border. And next, we're going to be looking at Monday the 25th. And here, we're actually getting some lower pressures along the Aleutian chain and over here on the southeast part of Alaska near Juneau. And that low pressure is actually pushing out right here, pushing out the weather, clouds and wind towards that direction. And we're going to continue to the right. So we have Tuesday, January 26th. We do have a lot of low pressure throughout the Aleutian chain here, but in here, missing the interior of Alaska, that's where Fairbanks is going to be. We did have fog that was starting to push towards that region. Later in the week, there happened to actually be fog, so this is just predicting what is going to happen eventually. It's kind of cool to look at. And we do have some snow coming right here. It's actually coming in east, which is, it possibly could hit Fairbanks later on. Keep moving forward. We have Wednesday, January 27th. We still have that consistent low pressure in the eastern, southern and southwest regions of Alaska. Still pushing up northward, so it's pushing all that cloud cover, which we saw pretty consistently throughout the week. All those altostratus and altocumulus clouds covering Fairbanks pretty consistently because of this low pressure pushing northward. And our final weather observation date was going to be Thursday, January 28th. In here, you see that there is some snow. It was a light snow that was showing up in Fairbanks on the ground, possibly from the night before. It was pretty hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure it was new snow that day. And continuing low pressures throughout, as you can see, it's moving up northward, and with this low pressure moving upward, it's going to be blowing out the cloud cover in this area, which happened to be, and that is going to be concluding my week 4 weather observation. Thank you very much.